Alrighty, peeps. In the last episode, we spent time acknowledging the deep and often silent struggles of chronic illness. We've heard stories that remind us of the immense mental and emotional weight that can come with a diagnosis like CKD. But our time here today is more than just recognizing the challenges, it's about preparing for the fight. Think of it this way. A warrior doesn't go into battle without a shield and a sword. For those of us living with chronic illness, our weapons aren't steel. They are the tools we use to protect our minds and strengthen our resolve. Just so you know, this episode is split into two parts, okay? For part one, we're going to open up the toolbox. We're going to talk about simple, practical strategies you can use to find moments of peace, express what's hard to say, and connect with people who truly understand. So let's dive into some tools you can use to keep fighting. And for the first time, I want to welcome you guys welcome you guys back to the Chronic Brew Podcast. Let's go.
You are now tuned into the Chronic Brew Podcast with Mr. Coolbeans, sharing stories, inspiring others.
Welcome back to the Chronic Brew Podcast with Mr. Coolbeans. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Last time we had a raw and honest conversation about the mental and emotional toll of chronic illness, shining a light on the hidden battles so many of us face. But this month is more than just recognizing the struggle. It's about empowering ourselves to meet it head on. And if you didn't know, September is Suicide Prevention Month. Today, we're getting to the actionable parts of our conversation. We're going to dive into part one, the patient's toolbox. We'll be talking about practical, real-world tools you can use. Simple strategies to manage your mind and your spirit, even when your body feels like a stranger. Chronic illness comes in countless forms, from the seen to the unseen. But the impact it has on our lives is a shared language. It doesn't matter if your battle is CKD, MS, or diabetes. The journey often carries the same emotional weight. Let's keep it a stack. We all know the profound fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix, the anxiety of waiting for test results, and the frustration of a body that feels like a stranger. It's the silent battle to maintain a sense of normalcy and constant need to adapt to a new normal. No matter the name of your illness, we're all on a similar path, navigating the same universal struggles of pain, loss, and resilience. Now that we've acknowledged that, I think it's time for us to shift from struggle to strategy. We're moving from a place of understanding to a place of action. Let's get to the how. Remember that emotional weight that I talked about earlier? The emotional and mental weight of a chronic illness can feel overwhelming. Trust me, I'll be the first one to admit that. But one thing you also have to remember is that you are not powerless. Think of these strategies as a toolbox with different tools to help you navigate different days. Kind of like Batman's utility belt. You don't have to use all of them, okay? But having them ready can make a world of a difference. The three tools that I'm getting ready to talk about is mindful moments and meditation, creative expression, and connecting with your community. Now, I think it's safe to say that you might want to grab a pen and a pad and write some of this stuff down. There's going to be a lot that I'm going to be fleshing out. And also, I want you guys to know that I am not a medical professional. I'm just a patient that's been walking chronic illness for about 1.5 years now. And I've gleaned so much within this time alone that I think I have a space that I can share a lot of what I've went through and can connect it to you guys as well. So with that being said, if you have any questions because I can't write prescriptions, right? Please ask your doctors, your specialists, and all that stuff if you have further questions or need help with anything else. Mind you, I am just a patient. All right, with all that out the way, let's talk about mindfulness or mindful moments and meditation, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going to be going with this. Okay, mindful moments and meditation. We need this because there's two things that get in our way sometimes: stress and anxiety. Okay, stress and anxiety are constant companions when you're battling chronic illness. Trust me, I've been ducking and dodging, and somehow they find me and put me in a headlock. Okay, they can tighten your chest, make your heart race, and keep you up at night. See, the goal of mindfulness is not to eliminate stress entirely. I wish we could. Trust me, I've been trying. You can't eliminate it entirely, but it is used to calm your nervous system so that you can think more clearly. When we talk about mindfulness, It's not about sitting on a mountaintop and achieving perfect zen. It's about finding a moment of calm right where you are. For someone with CKD like myself, your body can feel like it's in a constant state of alert. You're navigating pain, fatigue, and anxiety of lab results. Mindfulness is a practice of giving your nervous system a break, kind of like giving yourself some grace. It's about creating an anchor, a way to pull yourself back from the storm of worry. So all right, so Dig, let's do this simple exercise that you can try right now, like right now. I don't care where you are. You could be driving, you could be at home listening to this. Let's try this exercise right now, and I'll walk you through it, okay? So this is called the 60-second reset. I want you to find a comfortable spot, whether you're sitting, standing, or even lying down. Just take a moment to get settled, okay? Now, gently close your eyes, or if you prefer, simply soften your gaze. Start by noticing your breath. Don't try to change it, just observe it, okay? Feel the air as it comes in through your nose, and feel it as it leaves your body. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest or belly. Your mind will probably wander. It will think about your to-do list, or a conversation you had yesterday, or a doctor's appointment next week. That's okay. When you notice your mind has drifted, just simply acknowledge that thought, and then, without judgment, gently guide your attention back to your breath. This isn't about perfection. It's about giving yourself 1 minute just to be, to anchor yourself in the present moment. And then after a minute, when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Take that sense of calm with you into the rest of your day. Okay? Just that simple. All right? That's the 60-second reset. A second tool that I've come across is the sense of check-in. Okay? Here's another simple practice you can do anywhere, anytime, especially in moments of stress. All right? So here, I want you to see. All right? It's like see, hear, and feel. That's the check-in. See, hear, and feel. Let's start with see. S-E-E. With see, you're going to take a moment to look around you. What are 3 things you can see right now? Notice the color of the wall, the texture of the surface, a flicker of light. Then we're going to go to hear. What are 3 things you can hear? Maybe it's a hum of a refrigerator. I know my ice maker goes crazy sometimes. A bird outside, or the sound of your own breath. Now let's go to feel. What are 3 things you can feel? The feel of your feet on the floor, the fabric of your shirt, and even the temperature of the air on your skin. This exercise pulls you out of your mind and into a present moment, grounding you on your surroundings. It's a quick way to regain your sense of control when you feel overwhelmed. You can start small. In the middle of a stressful day, just try this. Close your eyes for 1 minute. Take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a few seconds, and then slowly let it out through your mouth. Pay attention only to the feeling of that breath. See, the goal isn't to clear your mind, it's just to give yourself one brief, peaceful moment. That 1 minute can be the reset button for your entire day. All right, just take those deep breaths whenever you're stressful, focus, breathe out, get yourself grounded. Okay, now that was tool number 1. Now let's transition over to tool number 2, which is pretty much creative expression. Okay, sometimes feelings are so big that they're hard to put into words. I come across that feeling so many times whenever I do fall in the pit of, thoughts and stress and anxiety, and I get asked, how are you? What's going on? And I know how I'm feeling, but I have no idea what to say. Okay, this is where creative expression comes in. It's a healthy outlet for all anger, frustration, and sadness that builds up inside of you, and you just don't know where to put it. You don't have to be an artist too, okay? You don't have to be an artist. Okay, so this isn't for anyone else to see except for you, all right? When you're living with chronic illness like CKD again, you often feel like, you often feel a whirlwind of emotions that are difficult to put into words. You have that frustration, you have that anger, you have that grief, even that fear. You have that fear. Creative expression is a powerful way to give those feelings a voice without ever having to say a word. The goal isn't to create a masterpiece, it's simply to get what's inside out. And you want to get it out because I think I heard it said one time that when you harbor grief, and a lot of those anguishing pains inside, they show up in your body through some sickness or you don't want that. You don't want to add on to what you already have. So we're going to try to get all that out through our creative expression, okay? Here are a few ways to start. So we have the power of the pen, all right? Free writing, all right? If you're a writer, this one's for you, okay? You don't need to be the best poet. You don't need to be the best author to do this. All you need is a pen and a blank page. The idea is to write without stopping for a few minutes. Don't worry about grammar, punctuation, or whether it makes sense. All right? You're lucky I wouldn't be the teacher grading this stuff, right? Because I taught ELA before, okay? All right, so don't worry about any of that stuff, okay? This is just for you. You can start with a simple prompt like, I'm feeling so angry about ... fill in the blank. Or what's really weighing on me today is, and then just let your hand go. The physical act of writing can be incredibly therapeutic. Like, that's why a lot of people journal, okay? Helping you untangle your thoughts and get them out of your head and onto your page. Like, I remember, when we were kids, we used to watch Doug, Disney's Doug, and we used to watch that, and he would always journal. Even he had the worst day, kids calling him, making fun of him. Rogers out here, poking fun at his shoes or something like that. He would go home every single night and make it a practice to write down his thoughts and his feelings. So that way he can get whatever's inside of him out, okay? That reflection is mega deep, okay? Then you have the next piece, which is scribble it out, okay? Just as it sounds, scribbling it out entails drawing, okay? This is even more of a direct way to release pent-up emotions. Grab a piece of paper again and a pen and just start scribbling. Let your hand move fast, let it move swiftly, wildly across the page. Think of the pen as an extension of your frustration, or your fear, or even your pain. Scribble it out until you feel a sense of relief. All right. Then you can tear it up. You can tear out the paper, throw it away. Nobody has to look at it. All right. It's done. All right. Whatever happened, happened. The entire process is a physical and visual representation of releasing those difficult feelings. Scribble it out. Even if you end up drawing something beautiful like, the Mona Lisa or you draw something like a beautiful African painting. It doesn't matter. Just don't throw it away. Just make sure, you get paid for it, I guess, right? If you're an artist. Then you have, this is my favorite one. I got to say, because I'm a fan of music. I love music. If you know me, I love house music. Grew up on reggae and Caribbean, but house music does something different. This next strategy is called find your playlist, okay? So creative expression, I want you to know this, creative expression isn't limited to just drawing and writing, all right? You can use music. Music can be an incredible, effective tool. Think about, creating a few playlists or different moods. One playlist might be your vent playlist, like when you're just raging, you want to vent, you want to let it out, you can make that playlist, all right? That playlist might be filled with songs that let you feel all your anger and sadness. Another could be your hope playlist. I know if you're a believer, you have Christ-centered music, you have gospel music, or if you focusing on your faith. With music that lifts up your spirit, and gives you a sense of encouragement. You always want to have that. When you need a mental shift, you have a tool ready to go every single time. Okay, I know for me, talking from my experience, it's house music, and I'll explain why. So when I was growing up in Miami, there was this famous radio station that always played house music on Sundays, and as a kid, I always wondered what type of music it was because it always made me feel good inside, like I was ready to tackle the next day. It was very encouraging. But then when I got older, I came to find out that the name was definitely house music, and from then on, I was just on a raging, search for house music everywhere. Okay, house music. Let's talk about it. House music is more than just a beat. Okay, I know you think of that. You think of the club, the disco, I'm sorry for the beatboxing, but it's more than just that. It's a powerful tool for your mental and emotional well-being. I found that out, and I was just amazed. I'm like, no wonder this makes sense. All right, so house music. Three things about it. All right, it's grounding, it's an energy booster, and it promotes a sense of unity. Okay, House music is built on, I would say, a consistent, repetitive four on the dance floor or four on the floor rhythm, right? I think that's what it's called. When your mind is racing with anxiety or 1,000 worries, that steady beat acts as an anchor. It's a reliable, predictable rhythm that can calm your nervous system and help you feel more centered and present in the moment. Like, there are times where I'd be in the most stressful situation. I would turn on some house music. I would name some of my favorite artists, but we're not there yet as a podcast. But I would listen to some of my favorite artists, and it would just do something. It would cause me to just get centered again. Okay. Another thing, as far as energy boosting, chronic illness often comes with that fatigue. We know that. Everybody knows it. It comes with that fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. While you may not have the physical energy to get you up on the dance floor, the uptempo beat and uplifting melodies of house music can provide a mental and emotional lift. It's a sonic energy boost that can help you feel more alert and positive, even when your body is running on empty. If you follow me on social media, there was one post that I did with a guy, his name is Sheed from Newark, and he was just dancing to some house music, and for whatever folks laughed at the way the video was made, and it was funny, but there was something about that video that just inspires me, like, yo, this music is super uplifting. Imagine, and there was some edits to it, but if you want to check that out, follow me on my Instagram, and it's right there for you. Okay. And then you have that it promotes that sense of unity that I was talking about earlier. House music was born in a culture of inclusion and acceptance. Okay, the genre's core message is about unity and shared experiences, and I think folks in the chronic illness community can agree with this when we say we need more unity and shared experiences to be passed around. Okay, when you listen to it, you can feel a part of something bigger. This feeling of connection can be a powerful antidote to the isolation and loneliness that often comes with chronic illness, reminding you that you are part of a larger supportive community, guys. And I think that's why I love house music so much, for those elements. It draws you and makes you feel like dancing. It's an energy booster. It keeps you grounded, on a scientific level, if you want to talk about the beats per minute and all that stuff. If honestly, you don't have to go to the club or party to feel these effects. I crack open Spotify every chance I get. House music is built on a consistent, repetitive four on the floor, the rhythm that acts as a steady anchor for the mind, cutting through the brain fog and chaos of a difficult day. It's impossible to sit still in your spirit when a great house track comes on. Trust me, when you hear that beat drop and the beat kicks your chest, you just gotta bop your head, okay? Especially that beat. The beat is a powerful reminder that even if your body is struggling, your mind and soul can find rhythm to keep moving forward. Right? It's powerful. It's almost, I just thank God that He created that. Okay, it's a sonic community that makes you feel connected and alive, all from the comfort of your own space. So, with all that being said, all right, creative expression. Grab a pen and a notebook and just write. Don't worry about grammar or making sense. Just get the feeling on the paper. You can even try drawing or doodling, okay? If that's not for you, maybe it's listening to a piece of music that matches your mood or one that helps shift it. Finding a nonverbal way to express what you're feeling can keep it from festering inside. And I'll be honest with you guys, when you allow things to fester on the inside, it builds up, and sometimes you can't keep it in. It'll show up on your skin. And when I say on your skin, people start to see it because a lot of people wear their emotions on them. All right, so let those emotions out however you find best, writing it, drawing it, listening to some music. You guys already know what I do, right? So let's go to this last tool, okay? This last tool right here, I'll be honest, as we look into our patient's toolbox, I'll be honest, is the most important. All three tools have their roles in our lives, right? In every season that we need it. But this tool is the most pivotal one. It's connecting with your community. Like, I'll be honest, I know for me, I have a solid group of brothers that I can either text or reach out to, and they encourage me, they pray for me, they lift me up. Whether it's, a funny meme or even on socials, they send me funny reels and we laugh about it or we exchange reels. Like that's medicine in a sense. All right. And community plays a big part in all of that. But let me not get ahead of myself. Let me break it down for you on what I mean by connecting with your community. It speaks for itself. But, when you're living with, for me, CKD, it can be incredibly isolating. And I also think that anybody else who has a chronic illness, they can attest to the same. When you have a chronic illness, you feel alone. You feel isolated. You feel forgotten. You feel like the world has moved on without you. It feels like no one truly understands, the things that you have to navigate through. Like, for example, the dietary restrictions, and even for me, like, with all the dietary restrictions because of my kidneys and stuff like that, in the situation, I'm putting on water weight. That's insane. And, but that's another conversation, right? People don't understand the dietary restrictions, the crushing fatigue, or even that constant fear of those lab results. Because one thing to understand with the lab results, those lab results can determine the next phase of your treatment plan, and it can either make you or break you. Okay? That's why community is so essential. You have to find a space where you can connect with people who just get it. It's not always going to be perfect though, but find a group where you find those people who understand or get what you're going through. This could be a support group at your local hospital or a private online forum. You could be sharing your experiences and hearing other stories that can validate your feelings and remind you that you are not alone in this fight. Like even on the Chronic Brew podcast that we're doing right now, all of this is an opportunity to both give and receive empathy, creating a sense of solidarity and shared strength for anybody who listens. Okay. I know for me, when I started on my chronic illness journey, I completely left, Facebook. I probably shouldn't mention them, but, I left that social app because I was looking for something that could help me navigate this thing. And we know, the rest is history. But I think when you find a group and you have folks who understand, you might just be freshly diagnosed with something, and they might have been in it for a long time, and they can kind of walk you through and encourage you and tell you, yeah, been there, done that, you might want to try this. Be encouraged. It's only going to get better. Make sure you get what I'm saying? Like community community is astronomical in making you feel validated. Okay? When you're dealing with a chronic illness, it definitely feels like you're on an island. You might look fine on the outside, but you're navigating a reality that few people can truly understand. Especially when folks come up to you like, oh, you don't even look sick. You don't even look, all of that stuff. I know some of you guys just started having conniption fits. I'm sorry. All right. But remember this. Connecting with a community of people who get it is one of the most powerful tools you can have. It turns that feeling of isolation into a sense of solidarity when you have people that stand behind you. All right? It gives you the power of validation. It's one thing for a loved one to say, I'm here for you. It's another thing to hear someone say, I get it. The fatigue, the food restrictions, the fear of your lab results, I live with that too. That simple act of shared experience is a profound form of validation. It confirms that what you're feeling is real and normal, not something you're making up or exaggerating. This can be a huge relief and a crucial step in healing. Guys, I think the most devastating thing I've heard was there's someone that I follow on TikTok, and she shared a post where she had a friend that said, you're posting all of these things about dialysis for clout or for show. You're trying to get attention. You know how almost demoralizing that is, if not demoralizing? To feel that someone that you have in your corner is taking your condition, taking your lived experience for something that's just for entertainment. Truly brutal and hurtful all at the same time. So now I guess the question would be, where do we find these communities? Where are they? Are they hidden somewhere? Like, where could you don't have to search far and wide to find your people. Okay. So let me give you a few places where you can start to find your community. You have those online support groups that we mentioned. The internet has made it super easy nowadays, to connect with people who share your experiences. Look for private forum or social media groups dedicated to your chronic illness. I know I did with my CKD, and I found some great people on there. These are often moderated spaces, so they watch what's posted, and you can ask questions, you can share your struggles and triumphs, and you can even get advice from people who are truly in the same boat. Okay. You can also go to your local hospital for support groups. All right. Many hospitals and even dialysis centers offer in-person support groups. While online groups, they are convenient. You don't have to leave your house. All right, but I think meeting face to face can provide a different level of connection. You know what I mean? It's a chance to build real world friendships with people, who understand your journey. Like, I know a lot of people online who have CKD. I've talked to them, we've connected, we've messaged, but I'm like, yo, I wonder what it would have been like if, I had these folks around my family and my family could, be around them for the encouragement, for the uplifting, for the hanging out, for the game nights, for all of that stuff. It would have been so much more epic if I had these people who are so far away, like Colorado, California, folks in Milwaukee, folks up in Boston, these folks, if I had them nearby, life wouldn't feel so isolating sometimes. And not only that, another place where you can find your community, and I'm gonna walk gingerly on this one, is by finding the right friends and family. Let that sizzle for a little bit, because I heard the smoke. I saw the smoke go up. The right friends and family. Now listen, while not everyone will understand what you're going through, some might actually be willing to try. You just got to give them the chance to. You can be the one to start the conversation by sharing a little bit about what your day-to-day life is really like. And when you share your story, you just might be surprised by who steps up to listen and offer some sense of support. Okay? And guys, another thing, you got to turn your experience into a tool. And what I mean by that is connecting with your community, it has to be a two-way street. You not only receive support, you also have the opportunity to give it. I know sometimes, when we have a chronic illness or when we're going through something in life, like something traumatic, some form of trauma, like we go through it. I'm not diminishing that by no means. We go through it, and sometimes we just want the world to come and give us a hug. But I think after a while, we can't stay in that position. That's when we have to step out and be that encouragement, because we've been through some fire and somebody's just going into the fire. We can always reach back and lift them up, okay? By sharing your experiences and your story, you become a source of strength for someone else who just might be starting their journey. This can give you a sense of purpose, all right? And show that you are, that your fight, no matter how difficult, has the power to help someone else. Okay, now remember these tools, all three of these tools here, these tools are not a cure. Unfortunately, I've tried. There's still something to put into work, okay? They're not a cure, but they are a way to fight back against the mental and emotional toll of any chronic illness. They are about giving yourself a moment of control in a situation that often feels out of your hands. And with all that being said, we will close the lid on our toolbox for today. Because that was a lot to shell out. I hope you were taking notes. I hope your pad is, your pen pad is full of notes and stuff like that. Or you can just rewind the podcast and just take notes again. All right, but still on the real, remember, the journey we've been talking about isn't about perfection, y'all. I'll be the first one to admit that I don't use these tools perfectly and consistently all the time. Okay, it's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about taking those small, powerful steps, finding a moment to breathe, scribbling out your frustrations, or even connecting with someone who truly understands what you're going through. These are the daily acts of courage that fortify your spirit and help you win the most important battles. I don't care if your chronic illness doesn't have a cure. I don't care if it's a long road and you have to do so many tests. It's the day-to-day important battles that you are taking on head-on with the tools that you have in your toolbox. I think it's important to also mention that, a battle is rarely fought alone. And while you're the warrior in this fight, you have a team standing with you. So next time, we're going to dedicate this space to them. Join me for part 2, The Caregiver's Compass. We will be talking directly to the loved ones, the family, and the friends who want to help but don't always know how. We'll give them a guide for how to show up for you, how to listen, and how to become the essential support system that you deserve. Until then, peeps, keep pressing on. Your strength is a testament to your spirit, and I'm honored to have shared this space with you today. Make sure you follow me at Mr. Cool Beans 2889 on Instagram so you don't miss any updates and become a part of the community that I'm building. I'll see you there. Mr. Cool Beans, I'm out.